religion left. It doesn't matter, it's a matter of time. Especially now, Romania and all these other countries have opened the border. Millions of people who come here are not Christian. And if you don't say, this is a Christian country and we respect Christianity, they won't respect it either.
Hey, Kharisma here. Welcome back to Kharisma Daily. The 2024 Paris Olympics got off to a controversial start at the opening ceremony, which featured drag queens, a decapitated head, and a smurf with his bulge out. A Paris Olympic opening ceremony scene reminiscent of Leonardo da Vinci's The Last Supper continued to stir controversy as Paris 2024 producers and the ceremony's designer, Thomas Joly, released separate, apparently opposing statements on where they drew its inspiration. Let's take a look at the controversy here. As you can see, here's the Last Supper, Jesus and his 12 disciples, a very iconic depiction of that Last Supper. And if you take a look, now I can't play the audio of their rendition. Here you have drag queens, it's even a child that they have as part of this scene. Now there has been a lot of backlash because of them including a child here as well. In the scene in question, as I just showed you, featured a lineup of drag performers posing shoulder to shoulder on a Parisian bridge before turning the bridge into a fashion-forward catwalk. I don't have the clip of that particular one. But here, where I just showed you, they were celebrating the meal where the dish was revealed to be a nearly nude painted blue man in blue. Many, including Joly and the official Olympics Game X, said the scene is an interpretation of the Greek god Dionysus that makes us aware of the absurdity of violence between human beings. Others, including a statement from the Paris 2024 producers obtained by the Wraps on Sunday, said it was in fact inspired by Da Vinci's famous painting, a skewing of the religious imagery that has been slammed by the Christian right as a mockery of Jesus Christ. Now, this is what they do all the time. They blatantly and openly mock Christianity, mock Christians, mock Jesus, mock the faith of Christians. And then when they're called out, they start to backpedal. Now, as I read to you, there were some controversial statements as to where they got their inspiration. But it was clear that they got their inspiration from the Last Supper. And as soon as they were called out, oh, it's an interpretation of the Greek goddess Dionysus. Really? Now, this scene caused a disturbance on social media where conservative political leaders from around the world blasted the display as blasphemous. Speaker Mike Johnson wrote on X, "Last night's mockery of the Last Supper was shocking and insulting to Christian people around the world who watched the opening ceremony of the Olympic Games. The war on our faith and traditional values know no bounds today," he added. "But we know that truth and virtue will always prevail. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." John 1:5. Now, as I mentioned, it also came on fire for including the child in this hyper-sexualized, blasphemous rendition of the Last Supper. The child can be seen, as I showed you, there with them in that particular video. Moving on. Now, the woman who was portraying Jesus is Barbara Bush, the obese woman who depicted Jesus in the Paris Olympic ceremony, says her aim is to unite people and to share love. So here is Barbara Bush. can't really show any play any audio on that video because they have been the actual Olympics organizers have been going after content creators who show any clips or videos from the Olympics and slapping them with copyright strikes or trying to get them to take it down. So I can only show you a limited amount of that and without any audio. Now, the Paris Olympics organizers issued an apology after they mocked Christianity during their opening. They said they were really sorry if they offended anyone, saying there was never their intention of offending Christians. Clearly, there was never an intention to show disrespect to any religious group. The opening ceremony tried to celebrate community tolerance. We believe this ambition was achieved. If people had taken any offense, we are really sorry. You know what? This apology is really hard to believe considering the self-described obese Jewish queer lesbian who played Jesus labeled the performance as the new gay testament on Instagram. But let's take a look at what the organizer had to say.
Never an intention to show disrespect to any religious group. On the contrary, I think that Thomas Joly really tried to really intend to celebrate community tolerance. That was his word yesterday. And looking at the result of the polls that we shared, we believe that this ambition was achieved. If people have taken any offense, we are, of course, really, really sorry.
If anyone has taken offense, we are really, really sorry. Does that seem like a genuine apology to you? If anyone has taken offense, I don't think so. I think they only apologized because it was such a backlash and people had a lot to say and felt insulted, Christians felt insulted as they should have been. And it really burns me to see Christians online who are believing this hogwash about, we really didn't mean it was supposed to be the Last Supper. It was supposed to be something else. And they're falling for their garbage. Self-proclaimed Christian Jill Biden says the opening of the ceremony at the Paris Olympics was spectacular. And she doesn't know how the US will top this in 2028. It was spectacular. I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, how are we going to top this? How are we going to top this? Take a listen.
Spectacular. The rain did not dampen our spirits. And Casey, honestly, every step of the way, I was thinking to myself, oh my God, how are we going to top this? How are we going to top this? So, okay, so Paris has the, Eiffel Tower, but we have Hollywood and the magic of Hollywood that makes all dreams come true. So I think we're going to be okay.
There you have it. Jill Biden, professed, self-proclaimed Christian, said that the performance, which mocked Christianity and millions of Christians or billions of Christians around the world, she said it was spectacular. And all she could think about, oh my God, how are we going to top this? They have the Eiffel Tower and we have Hollywood of all places. So that's going to top this. Let me say this clearly. This was the bottom of the bottom. Okay, that ceremony, opening ceremony where Jesus was mocked, Christianity was mocked, that was the bottom of the bottom. So I think any performance for any Olympic ceremony can top that easily. And Jill Biden should be ashamed of herself. Moving on. Continuing on. Now, Andrew and Tristan Tate were outraged. Now, online, I saw a lot of, people openly saying that this was a real slap in the face to Christians. And Andrew Tate, who's actually Muslim and his brother is Christian, he was beside himself. And he and his brother decided to protest outside of a French embassy after us Christians were mocked during the opening ceremony. He says, Christians will not be mocked, says a sign held by Tate. He says, I'm protesting outside of the French embassy for mocking Jesus during the Olympics. He says, the police are threatening to arrest me for unlawful assembly. I'm currently on bail. I'm going to face a minimum of 3 months in prison. I do this as a Muslim. Take a look. Even a Muslim came out in support.
Guys, I believe most of you are Christians. I'm a Muslim, yes? This is Romania, it's supposed to be the most Christian country in Europe. You cannot allow them to desecrate something as important as the Last Supper with transsexuals and little children, pedophilia. There has to be a point you stand up for your beliefs. If you have something in life and you don't stand up for it, it will not last. If you have a house, you don't maintain it, it will fall down. Business, you don't work, it's gone. Relationship, you don't take care of her, she'll leave you. It's the same with religion. If you Christians don't start standing up for things, when they mock you publicly and openly, you'll have no religion left. It doesn't matter, it's a matter of time. Especially now, Romania and all these other countries have opened the border. Millions of people who come here are not Christian. And if you don't say, this is a Christian country and we respect Christianity, they won't respect it either. It's the end. And it's the man's job. It's the job of men to defend things. This is what a man is supposed to do. It's man and woman for a reason, but the man is a fighter. The men have to stand up and fight against these things. Guys, this is supposed to be the most Christian country in Europe. When they try this crap again, I expect to see you all at the next embassy, wherever it is. Thank you, guys.
There you have it. Even a Muslim came out and protested against the debauchery at the Paris Olympics. Now, that was followed up by on Sunday, where thousands of people were standing up. Thousands of Christians were standing up in Paris, worshiping after the evil Olympics opening show. Take a look at that. And it was amazing to see. That was a beautiful thing to see, where all of those people in Paris came out in support and standing quietly protesting, singing praises unto God. And, you know, sort of like, we're taking this back after what you did to mock Christians all around the world. Now, I want to wrap this up with a letter by an archbishop, which is fascinating. And he, if anyone has described what has been going on in the Western world, he has said it. And what happened and took place at the Olympics or ceremony, he said it in so eloquently. Now, people, went online. Some things that he said was real snap on, like to the point. Things that some people are afraid to say. Candace Owens is only one of the persons who have actually came out and said one of these things that I'm going to highlight to you today. But a lot of people were saying, well, focusing on the fact that they said that he was deflocked or something like that because he has opposed the Pope Francis on many issues. Listen, it doesn't matter if he's deflocked or whatever. He's no longer a part of the Catholic Church or what. I don't know what the position is, but there was something that happened. There was a ruling. To me, that has no bearing on the truth and the facts that he has spoken in his letter and eloquently said in his letter, to the point. And I wish, I'm yet to see any response from the actual Pope Francis about this debauchery that took place at the Olympics, Paris Olympics opening. I haven't seen anything. I haven't heard anything. So I can understand why there would have been conflict between or him saying things or not in agreement to what Pope Francis has said, because Pope Francis he is acting like a coward. The things that he should be standing up for, the things that are being done against Christians in the Catholic Church. Where is he? Why is he so silent? So much respect to this Archbishop, and I'm going to read this letter to you. I'm going to wrap this episode up with this letter. It's quite lengthy, but I want to share it with you because it's eloquently said and so powerful. So I'm going to share that with you right now. But let me read that letter to you right now that I mentioned by the Archbishop. Statement from Archbishop Carlo Maria Vigano. It's a statement following the sacrileges and scandals of the Paris Olympic Games. The opening ceremony of the Paris Olympic Games is only the latest in a long series of vile attacks on God, the Catholic religion, and natural morality by the anachronistic elite that holds Western countries hostage. We have seen no less disconcerting scenes at the 2012 London Olympics, the 2016 inauguration of the Gothard Tunnel, and the 2022 Commonwealth Games, featuring infernal figures, goats, and terrifying animals. The elite who organizes these ceremonies demand not only the right to blasphemy and the obscene display of the foulest vices, but even their mute acceptance by Catholics and decent people who are forced to suffer the outrage of seeing the most sacred symbols of their faith and the very foundations of natural law desecrated. We witness a dystopian dance macabre in which holograms of the horsemen of the apocalypse alternated with a plump blue Dionysus served under a bell of various courses. The parody of the LGBTQ plus Last Supper, the truculent performance of a decapitated Maria Antoinette singing Carrière, called to celebrate the horrors of the French Revolution, the ballads of the bearded transvestites, and the effeminate dancers accompanied by pitiful mime singers. In this provocative spectacular, Satan knows how to do nothing except ruin God's creative perfection, showing himself as the envious author of every counterfeit. Satan creates nothing. He only ruins everything. He does not invent. He tampers. And his followers are no different. They humiliate women's femininity in order to erase the motherhood that recalls the Virgin Mother. They castrate men's manhood in order to tear from him the image of God's fatherhood. They corrupt the little ones in order to kill innocence in them and make them victims of the most abject wokeism. The opening ceremonies of the Olympic Games has given scandal not only because of the arrogant display of the ugly and the obscene, but because of the infernal subversion of good and evil, the insane claim to be able to blaspheme and desecrate everything, even what is most sacred, in the name of an ideology of death, ugliness, and lies that defies Christ and scandalize those who recognize him as Lord and God. It is no coincidence that the one sponsoring this revolting carnival is an emissary of the World Economic Forum, Emmanuel Macron, who passes off as a transvestite as his wife with impunity, just as Barack Obama is accompanied by a muscular man in a wig. It is the reign of mystification, of falsehood, of friction erected as a totem, in which man is disfigured precisely because he was created in the image and likeness of God. Tolerance cannot be the alibi for the systemic destruction of Christian society, a society by which billions of honest and hitherto silent people identify themselves. This purification must end. And it must end not so much and not only because it hurts the sensibilities of believers, but because it offends the majesty of God. Satan does not have the rights of God. Evil cannot be put on the same level as good, nor can lies be equated to truth with truth. This is what our civilization is based on. A civilization that some would like to bury under the physical and moral rubble of a world in shambles. It must be made clear that the patience and the forbearance of the faithful and of citizens have been exhausted, and that it is no longer time to deplore, but to act, even and especially when civil and religious authority are complicit in the betrayal. It is therefore necessary for Christians to organize around the world with concrete actions, first and foremost with a boycott of the Olympic Games and all their sponsors. It is equally necessary for companies not subservient to globalism to revoke their sponsorship contracts and for delegations and individual athletes to withdraw from the Games, which were inaugurated under the worst auspices. We must expect and demand that those responsible for this intolerant bullying be held accountable for their actions, as well as for the corruption that also accompanies this event. Finally, the homosexual set designer who gave birth to this blasphemous and vulgar spectacular must repay the fee that Macronites charge French taxpayers. I urge Catholics to make reparations by prayer, fasting, and penance for the outrages perpetrated against our Lord Jesus Christ and against our holy religion. And may the confident recourse of those who are good before the throne of the Most High not be divorced from a general awakening of consciousness, so that the King of Kings may once more reign over nations, societies, families, and the church. Carlo Maria Regano, Archbishop. And there you have it. Potent, to the point, and on fire. Now, if you want to actually go to the website, I can put a link below this video and you can read that letter for yourself. That sums up how I feel and how Christians around has felt about this opening of the ceremonies for the Olympics 2024. I'm urging everyone to boycott it. This is something that should not be celebrated. And it's interesting that there have been a lot of prophecy regarding Paris and France. And I am looking to see with that prophecy or when that prophecy do come to fruition. And let's all stay vigilant. And I urge Christians to stand up. I mean, we have been taught in church that, turn the other cheek, pray for your enemies. But God never said not to use your voice and to stand up for what is right and what is good, what is honorable, and what your faith in God is. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think about the ceremony? What do you think about this powerful letter by Archbishop V. Carlos? And I want to hear from you. Until next time, take care and bye.